It's like you're applying for any ministerial position. Let's
calm down. Time will tell. Yes, we're actually looking towards it.
I hope you've been watching the screening, really.
Honestly, I have. And I must say that anybody that is not watching this screening needs to be screened as well, because this is a very important factor. It's a very important point in the life of Nigerians. And I believe that a lot of people are watching. And because it's one thing to know the people that we are going to be placing in ministerial positions, and it's also another thing to know how competent they are, and to also know what they are there to offer us. So it's, of course, I'm watching it, and of course I'm sure you're also watching it as well.
Yeah, I'm really. It's actually very important, like you're saying, because for a system to work, the stakeholders operating on those systems need to be really, really, really strong. You know, when you say Ministry of Power, you're in charge of light, you organize Ministry of Information, you're regulating, you know, so those positions are actually very important. Yes, being a president is okay, but if those systems, if the people manning those systems are not effectively or well scrutinized, like you're saying, and put in the positions where they're supposed to be, and they come into power, you understand, being a president with all your, your manifesto and your plans, if those systems are not put in place, it might not actually really, really work. But I think, how have you even seen the candidates that are really going on for this screening? Because one, some of them are really serious and know what they are doing. Others are really very, very funny. I know you're already laughing.
A lot of pictures are playing in my head, videos are playing in my head, so that's why I'm laughing. And of course, it's more of the trending thing about Wike now. Yes, so Wike, of course, there was a video that made us understand that this man said that he's not interested in the ministerial position. As a matter of fact, if it comes, he's going to reject it. But now he's part of the nominees, and we saw how he was able to fluently and eloquently sell himself and all of that. But before then, I really want to say something, because you know, when you were talking about things working in Nigeria starting from the head, I would really want to point out something that if actually this appointment is in the interest of all Nigerians, then I believe that the main interest of an average Nigerian should be considered, because we have seen a lot of things talking about basically like the psychological effects or the psychological impacts, some of the things that is happening in our country, it's telling on Nigerians. For example, starting from the election, a lot of people thought that there was election malpractice, which of course the case is still in court, you understand, and narrowing the whole thing down to, you know, removal of the fuel subsidy, which of course costs, you know, increase in fuel, and of course inflation in everything. So right now, if we're talking about this particular nomination of like the ministerial nomination, and we have a lot of people, some knows what they are doing and some don't. Well, in quotes, because most of the things that are out there, it's simply proving to Nigerians that some people are taking Nigerians for granted. You get, El-Rufai said something, you understand, he said he has trained a lot of people under him, and now coming out that he has been, and he has actually been the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. That was 2003 to 2007. He's been there before. So why is he out again? You know, these are questions Nigerians are asking, a lot of questions, like, and at the same time, why are these people not asked relevant and incisive questions? You understand? And why is this still circulating amongst them? You understand? And why on earth should some people even look at some women a certain way? Because of course we have the female gender there. So I'm like, I saw all these things and I saw comments on social media. It's really baffles me, honestly.
Yeah. When it comes to you're talking about Wike, and I've realized something. Wike is a politician. Like that's who he is. He's a politician. That's what we have to understand. And sometimes politicians are not very concrete on their words. They can tell you that this your shirt is brown.
Where is the place of integrity?
No, what I'm saying is, and the next time he comes out, he will tell you that what's it called? This thing is like a milkish colored shirt. Do you know why I'm saying this? Is that Nigerians should learn to understand that when you are electing your leader, you do not just, you understand, follow the political or religion or ethnicity when electing your own leaders. And when you talked about the qualification, when I was watching Wike's interview, apart from the fact that it was hilarious because of the previous videos that have come out,
of course,
media, but I was very, very conversant. I was very, very what's it called, challenged. I would say challenged really, because that man had experience.
Of course,
he was marshalling out his experience, his certifications, and he was doing it with a lot of boldness and all of those things. But what really struck me is I was asking, the Senate president was like, he doesn't need any other this thing here.
I don't believe that.
And I'm wondering, why wouldn't you ask him relevant questions? You cannot just say, okay, his qualifications has it wasn't really put together for me. It wasn't enough to even say, okay, you can bow and go without asking him lots of questions that he needs to be asked about, but it wasn't really necessary. And another thing that came to my notice is this: for, like you said, what are the qualifications? What are the criteria for these nominations? Is it that you've been a governor before? Is it that you've been a past president before? Is it that what are the qualifications for this? Can't people who don't even have these qualifications or this experience, or who have not been in political platforms, really emerge to be ministers for a particular, you know that this one can do this job? So why does it have to be this, like you have answer? Maybe, I don't know, I don't really know. It's a lot of ball game. And that's what we're regulating in Nigeria all the time, We've not seen results, and we keep appointing the same set of people to rule us, to govern us in some very, very serious issues like the ministers' seats and all of those things. You know,
it's only God that can help Nigeria, because the way things are going, we can only hope and pray, even though I know that some people have actually lost hope in Nigeria. You know, you're talking about the criteria and all of that. Believe me, when you talked about Wike, yes, let's not mistake competence and capacity from integrity and loyalty. You understand?
So he's supposed to be loyal to...
see, he might have all what it takes, like in terms of achievement, he has a track record and all of that. But this is a case where I don't really believe, or I completely disagree with you when you said he's a politician and all of that. They should live by example. You don't practice what you preach, you understand? You came out and you said you don't want this, and now you have it here, and you're still trying to play around it and all of that. And you're a leader, you understand? And a leader should have integrity. So that was why I was asking, where's the place of integrity? Okay. So because I keep saying, like, it's one thing for someone to know how to, like, you know how to do this thing, but then you can be accountable for what you're doing, and people can trust and believe that.
That's the problem we have in this country. Were you expecting him to say no to this appointment? Like, now, okay, he said he wasn't going to take it.
Of course, if you think,
because he has capable men, and said, okay, I don't want to take this position, I have to give it to somebody else. Were you expecting him to do that?
Ola, you rightly said it here. That what about other people who are fit for this?
Okay.
We all know. And you mentioned about circulating. Yeah. It is still the same thing we're talking about. Are they the only people who can really serve Nigeria?
Okay.
And simply because we all know that these people are of their own self-interest, you understand? So pointing it out that this is more like being selfish. If you know that there are people who you are sure they can do this, with I believe there is nothing wrong with, you said you don't want this. And of course, let's just say you were nominated, even though we know that probably there was a whole lot of let me just scrap that out. I don't want to say that, but then there is nothing wrong with you calling out someone who you are sure that can do this job. So but that is actually for Wike and all of that. But I know that between all these people that came out for the nomination, of course we had 28 candidates, so they had to screen them, and now they are 14 in number and all of that. The point here is, we saw some of them, at least 7 people. It came to a point like it's like everything they were saying was balablu. Let me just borrow that word from our president. It brings me to say that let's be very intentional about this nation. We want a working Nigeria.
What you're saying.
I have not even landed.
I really understand where you're going to. When I said politicians are being politicians, I'm not saying they're not supposed to.
Okay, you want to correct yourself?
No, I'm not trying to correct myself. I'm trying to say that when you're listening to a politician, especially when it comes to Nigerian politicians, you understand? You should understand that these people are doing it, like you said, for their selfish interest. But one of the reasons why we have come to divide as a country and haven't stood together is because we are listening, and these are not just politicians in Nigeria, these are worldwide politicians. They can tell you you're going to do this, and the next time they don't do that. So no matter how much you grammatize,
but is that the best best.
It's not I'm not saying it's the best.
We should point it out. Let's point it out.
Okay.
It's not right.
It's not the right thing, patience. It's not the right thing to do. That's the truth. It's not. But because we've come to see that politicians, this is what they are doing. We have to say, okay, these are politicians. So when they are saying some things, you don't owe them to this, what they call to whatever they are saying. You be like, this one is politician. He can come back and even change his mind. So what are the values you as a person have, especially when you're trying to elect a leader? If you say, I want a leader that has done this, not the leader that is saying I'm going to do this, then you check out his track record and say, okay, this is the leader I'm appointing because he has done this particular thing. It's like, okay, it's like being a president of Nigeria. He can come and tell you like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But what is his track record? You don't go, when you come to politician, I believe, that's what I believe. I do not hold politicians by his word and say he's going to change the country and all of those. I don't think it's actually. So what
do you do? What do you believe in?
What I believe in is this: when electing a leader, you follow the person's track record and say these are the things he has done. These are the things he has done, because he might enter that seat and change entirely.
That's one side. That's another angle. So what are other angles? Because I feel there are ways to it.
Other angles how? I don't.
I asked you for it.
Other angles how? I'm trying to understand. Other angles
good.
How?
Good.
Yes.
You mentioned about track record, and it's basically not far from what we are talking about. Okay. Nigerians want a working nation because people feel that a lot of things have failed them. At least you saw the protest, right?
Yes.
So what like we are living in a state now where people are leaving the country because of hardship. You get. And also news coming to us today that a lady actually lost her life on what is even called, what did they call
elevator.
It? Thank you. You saw it. And all of that. So what does that tell you? The nation is not working, organizations and all of that is not even working. I feel that the government, if they really have the interest of average Nigerians at heart, they should do the right thing. You understand?
What's the right
These people now, they should be asked the right questions.
Okay.
Wike came out, he said everything, and you also said it. They did not ask him relevant and incisive questions, even though he has a track record. There are things that he has said and has done that it's not correlating. You understand? Those things needs to be, and you know, together with other people, you understand? So I'm just using Wike as more like a case study. So I'm just believing that the right thing should be done, regardless.
Yeah,
everybody knows the good and the bad. So I don't think Nigeria should not be spoon-fed, especially our government. See, the Senate president should actually put things together. This is screening, and they should give it their very best. And the right thing I can even point out is, let's get, even if it's external bodies that will come and ask these people the right questions. You understand? People who knows their onion, so not to be sentimental. So I just want Nigerians to move away from, you know, what this thing called political compensation. You understand? I just want them to stop it.
I understand, but you cannot take it with you cannot take it away from the political environment.
Hey, God of mercy.
Really, I'm not trying to disagree with you.
I know
what you're saying is true. We have to stand for the right things in Nigeria. We have to decide and say these are the right things to follow. You understand? But when it comes to politics, you have to understand something, that politics is different from the entire, like, what the masses believe in or stuff like that. See,
okay, so we should all fold our hands.
I'm not saying we should fold. Okay. That's what we're going on.
What are you trying to say? Let's just
If you're not allowing me land.
Okay, land. Sorry. If
you're not allowing me land, politics is a different ball game. When a politician comes to tell you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do it, especially when it comes to Nigerian politics, we have come to realize that we have to hold them in a pinch of salt and demand for the right things to be done.
Okay.
No, but why this thing is even coming up is because what brought this discussion up now is that Wike said that he's not going to enter and he's now entering. Like, it's his career. He decides what he wants to do. If president appoints him, he decides whether, okay, I said I'm not going to, but I feel like I'm fit enough to do this job, so I'm going to continue.
Even after he said a lot of people who can do this job.
Yes, I feel like if he decides to do that, it's his discretion. You don't have to hold it against him.
Okay, fine.
I have not finished.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that we don't have competent people who can do this job and they can be able to. But if the president doesn't appoint you, then you don't have anything on that list. So it's the president that has discretion to appoint people. You understand? So when he appoints you, you decide whether you're coming or not, and you come and defend this. Like, if you cannot defend it, as some people who couldn't defend their certifications, then you're not going to be on the list. That's how these things are done. You're not going to be on the list. But if you're appointed and you decide to go, it's your own discretion. So it's Wiki's discretion. And that's why we're protesting in Nigeria today, because of the hike in fuel, because some of the policies are not favoring us. That's our job. Politics is here. We oppose the policies when we feel like it's not okay. That's just the truth. We oppose the policy when you feel it's not okay. But if you feel like you're going to tell Wiki how to respond to an appointment,
that's very mistaken. I am not saying that. I am also looking at the anyway, I just want to say one thing. Our government should actually try to move away from party affiliation. You understand? Okay. That's just it. It's not because that is what is playing out, no matter what we want to look at or how we intend to say it. So don't do like, okay, let's compensate this person, let's give you this because we are in the same party, or I know you from somewhere. They are all friends, acquaintances, and all of that. But regardless of that, they are serving Nigeria. So they should look at the average interest. They should look at the interest of average Nigerians. And that's just what I want them to do.
It's okay
if for me.
If you keep talking about
against Wike, I don't know whether Wike's best friend.
I'm just making this thing a logical conclusion.
I'm also being logical as well. Why are you making it? I am not attacking anybody.
We cannot agree on this thing. Yeah, we can. Of course, obviously. We can't agree on this thing. Politics is just politics. It ends. But really, we've come right at the end of today's show. Really,
Ola doesn't want me to continue.
Anyway, at the end of the show.
Bye. Of course, do follow us on all our social media platforms, and of course, we'll be seeing you next week. And subscribe. Very important.